Welcome to Chris's Storytelling Corner. This is Christopher Moldong of Chris's Storytelling Corner. Today I'm going to do a movie review for Kingsman, The Golden Circle. Next time I'll have a manga review for Skip Beat Volumes 1 and 2 and a list of the top magic users in anime and manga. You can check out my author's website at www.chrismoldong.com. You can buy my first novel, a fantasy adventure called The Mustard Prince in the Condiment Kingdom for $4.99. Also for $2.99, you can buy my short story collection, a collection of 10 short stories in the horror, fantasy, and realistic fiction genres. Check out my Twitter page and author's Facebook page. Links to all these will be provided on the description. I'd also really like to hear from you guys, so leave any comments that you can as far as what you think of this movie, any movies that are coming out or that are already out that you'd like me to see and review and whatnot. Make sure to subscribe and share to this channel as well. So the way that this is going to work is I'm going to give a total recap of the movie. So be warned, there will have spoilers. Okay, giving a total recap of the movie, and then after the recap, I'll give my thoughts on the movie, the plot, a grade, the characters, and whatnot. So let's get started with the review or the recap of Kingsman: The Golden Circle. So a year passed since Eggsy and Kingsman saved the world from Richmond Valentine's neurological wave broadcast. He's taken the title of Galahad from his late mentor, Harry Hart, and lives with the Crown Princess Tilde of Sweden. On his way home, he's ambushed by Charlie Hesketh, who was a former Kingsman trainee from the first movie who lost one of his arms and vocal cords during the Valentine incident. He evades Charlie and his henchmen in a car chase across London, but Charlie's severed cybernetic arm hacks into the Kingsman servers through the car's computer system because Eggsy was driving like a Kingsman car. While Eggsy is away in Sweden, a bunch of missiles destroy the Kingsman headquarters and wipes out all the agents in Britain. So, being the only surviving agents, Eggsy and Merlin follow the Doomsday Protocol, and that leads them to Statesman, a secret American organization posing as a bourbon whiskey distillery in Kentucky. So once they're there, they discover that Harry actually survived the Valentine's gunshots, or getting shot by Valentine a year earlier, but he suffers from amnesia. Eggsy and Merlin are briefed by Statesman's head Champagne about a secret terrorist organization called the Golden Circle. They also run into Tequila, who's played by Channing Tatum, who pretty much like ties him up and almost kills him. They begin their mission by following Charlie's ex-girlfriend Clara. Um, but what happens with Tequila is, who's played by Channing Tatum, is that he starts developing these blue rashes, and so he can't help them out. So he's replaced by Agent Whiskey as Eggsy's partner. So Eggsy manages to plant a tracking device inside of Clara, and it is vulgarly inside her as well, to put it nicely, or inserted into her. But his revelation of the mission to Princess Tilde strains the relationship because he pretty much had to finger bang Clara and maybe have sex with Clara in order to complete the mission. Tells Tilde about it, she's not happy. After several failed attempts to cure Harry's amnesia, Eggsy triggers Harry's memories by threatening to shoot a Yorkshire Terrier that resembles Harry's late dog. Then we go to Poppy Adams, who is the head of the world's largest drug cartel, posing as a pharmaceutical company, and she broadcasts a message telling the world about a toxin she laced within every recreational drug available: weed, heroin, you name it. Um, it's this toxin's in it, and it causes the users to develop blue rashes before progressing through mania, then paralysis, and then death. She then shows the antidote on none other than Elton John, who they captured, and offers it to the world if the President of the United States ends his country's war on drugs and offers her organization complete immunity. Um, the President decides to have everyone affected quarantined, including his Chief of Staff, Fox. Eggsy, Harry, and Whiskey head to the antidote factory in Italy after intercepting a phone call to Charlie by Clara. Eggsy steals a a sample of the antidote, but it's broken by Whiskey during an ambush by the Golden Circle's henchmen. During the gunfight, Harry shoots Whiskey in the head because he suspects that Whiskey is not necessarily on the up and up. But Eggsy ends up saving Whiskey um, using this alpha gel that was used on Harry after he got shot. Princess Tilde then calls Eggsy, and she's actually in a state of mania, so she's been taking drugs. And yeah, she's affected. Eggsy, Harry, and Merlin discovered the location of Poppy's hideout, Poppyland, which is a old 50s style like diner, movie theater, pretty much a small like town of the 50s, pretty much. And it's in Cambodia, and they fly there to steal the remote control for the antidote drones. So once they get there, Eggsy steps on a landmine, but he's saved by Merlin, and he sacrifices himself while taking care of the like entrance guards with him. Eggsy and Harry storm through the lair, and Eggsy kills Charlie while Harry destroys Poppy's robotic guard dogs with the help of Elton John. They then secure the briefcase with the access code to the drones and inject Poppy with a more potent dose of her own toxin. She gives them the password before dying by an overdose. But before they can activate the drones, they are stopped by Whiskey, who, you find out, previously lost his wife to crossfire from two drug users. And it's revealed that he's not working with the Golden Circle, but is working alone to ensure that all drug users are eliminated. Eggsy and Harry fight against Whiskey at Poppy's diner and manage to kill Whiskey, put him through a meat grinder. They release the antidote drones, and they save millions of lives around the world. So in the aftermath, Chief of Staff Fox has the president impeached for conspiring to commit genocide on the drug victims. Champagne, leader of the Statesman, announces that Statesman has acquired a distillery in Scotland to help rebuild Kingsman, and to avoid confusion of two Kingsman agents using the codename Galahad, which Eggsy and Harry are doing. Champagne offers one of them to be a statesman and take the title Whiskey. They both decline, but one of the statesmen who's, well, not a statesman, but someone who works as tech support, Ginger Ale, who's played by Halle Berry, takes the role. We then see Eggsy marrying Princess Tilde, and Tequila moves to London to work for Kingsman. So, some thoughts. Just start with Eggsy, you know. He plays his role really well. quick-witted, uh, really good at thinking in his feet, a little less gentlemanly than um, than the most Kingsmen are supposed to be, and he still has a little bit of, like, I guess, street in him. He plays his role well. Um, you know, he's funny. He's always put in compromising situations, but manages to get out of them. But he at the end of the day, he also has like a heart of gold too. So it's still there. Like, not much has changed with Eggsy since the first movie. I mean, he's still like the same guy pretty much. Uh, Princess Tild was in it more, as Eggsy's girlfriend, that and eventually turns into his wife, or becomes his wife near the end. Um, it's kind of funny that it's like she's like this princess, or like she's royalty, and she's like hanging out at the apartment, of uh is it like Eggsy's apartment? I'm not too sure. I think it is. So there's definitely more of there's the princess side of Tild, and then there's the more just down to earth Princess Tild. She was there to add a sense of urgency to what was going on, and at the end of the day, she gets together with Eggsy, and they kind of just live happily ever after before she gets killed. Uh, Harry was played by Colin Firth, played a pretty big role in this. Obviously, he comes back. I'm glad they brought him back from the first one. He was just such an interesting character. Very much the mentor, father figure to Eggsy. And it's not as pronounced. In the first one, it was quite pronounced that was his role. And this one, it's kind of like he's playing catch up. Eggsy's the new Galahad, and he's just kind of it's kind of like the switch between like mentor student. Who's the mentor, who's the student. Eggsy, I mean, like, Harry is still kind of there, giving them advice and whatnot, but not as prevalently. It's not as prevalent as like the first movie, and if anything, Eggsy seems to be more in charge. Um, a lot of this movie was built upon bringing back Harry's memories. That took it took a while, and then the other thing I thought it was actually a really interesting story, device, was just Harry seeing butterflies, because before he joined Kingsman, he actually wanted to study butterflies, apparently. And when he got his memories back, he still wasn't the same fighter. Sometimes you just see butterflies and get in a state of just, I wouldn't say confusion, but just disorientation. I thought that was one of the more interesting aspects of the movie. Just seeing Harry not being 100%. So that was really interesting. Didn't see a lot of Roxy. It's presumed that um, she got affected, or she died by one of the missile blasts. But I thought she ran off, so I kind of wonder if they make a sequel, if she's gonna come back. She was an interesting character. She was in the beginning of the movie, but then she just gets killed off, and I think she gets killed off. I wasn't really, you know what? I wasn't actually 100% sure if she died or not. She was just gone for the rest of the movie. Once the second and third act, or once the second second act happened, um, Roxy was just gone from the story. Just gone from the story. Merlin was, played a little more of a prominent role I was actually a bit surprised that he died. I honestly thought that Harry was gonna die. I was just like, oh, Harry's gonna die in this movie. And then Merlin died. And I'm gonna say this right now. They tried to build it up as like this big happening, but it's like, oh hey, I stepped on a landmine. Okay, sorry guys, I'm gonna die. I'm like, really? This is how Merlin goes? He steps on a landmine, takes out a couple guards, and that's it? Like, excuse me. I thought that was kind of weak, to be honest with you. I didn't really find that to be, if he's gonna go. I was kind of hoping he'd do a little more than just step on a landmine and take out five dudes. That's, I think it was just four or five guards, It's like, okay, that was kind of uneventful. You killed the goon squad, Um, so, because I liked his character. He was, um, well, one, it was pretty funny because, like, early in the movie, he's all like, be a man, you can't cry until, like, you finish the mission or whatnot. And then once he starts drinking with Eggsy, he's the one crying. So I thought that was pretty funny. Get to see different sides of him because, he's, in the first movie, you just see him kind of like the cool, calm, collected guy. A bit curious to see who's going to replace him, though. Once again, if they make a third movie, which this movie, by the way, opens up a third movie with the whole Statesman, Tequila going, working with Statesman and whatnot. Speaking of Tequila, it was played by Channing Tatum. Not enough screen time. Yeah, that was the one that we were saying. It's like they advertise him in the trailer, and he's there, and he's a great fighter, and then throughout the whole movie, he's put in ice. And it's like, okay, like, that's about it. I can't say much about him, but he does end up joining Kingsman. Once again, opening up for a third movie. Whiskey, though, played by Pedro Pascal, I thought he did a really good job. He was pretty funny. Um, I somewhat, what's kind of funny? I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I kind of expected one of the Statesmen uh, to be on the take, to be one of the bad guys, actually, possibly working for the Golden Circle. Um, with the whole thing with getting that one sample of the antidote, I mean, they pretty much played their cards with Whiskey and putting suspicion with him. I thought he played it, his role well. He was really good with the lasso and whatnot. Um, him being like the ultimate villain, like the true villain in the end, or and whatnot. Seemed a bit pigeonholed in a sense. It was just kind of put in there because like he's not working with the Golden Circle, so it was just kind of like, okay, you killed the boss, Poppy, but now the real boss, she was just a sub boss or something, but she's not. Like Whiskey's the real final boss of it. Um, but yeah, I thought, in a sense, it's like, I guess he's kind of more of a rogue agent than anything else. They kind of made it seem like he was working because he was apparently against ginger ale joining Statesman apparently, and that was another red flag on the guy. But that made me think that he was a part of Golden Circle, and it turns out he was just working by himself. So that was a bit of something of a plot hole there because it's like, okay, if he's not a part of like the Golden Circle, why is he not allowing Ginger Ale to be promoted to a Statesman? Like it's not actually explained then, because he's just working alone. There's no reason for him not to, there's no reason for him to veto ginger ale. So that was a bit weird. Poppy Adams, I thought she was good. Julianne Moore played Poppy Adams. Um, Kingsman, like the first one was Samuel L. Jackson. Like they have like, he was like a Poindexter, who was the ultimate villain, and now you have this like 50s style near how kind of like a 50s style housewife, more or less, being the main villain. So they definitely don't go with your traditional archetypal trope villains. They Kingsman has really gone with these people you don't expect to be villains to be like the main villain that is threatening the world. I thought Julianne Moore played the part really well, because she's like crazy, but and says crazy things and wants her henchmen to do crazy things, but like she's like talks in a way that doesn't seem great. She's just like 50's housewife, or yeah, pretty much 50's housewife. Um, as far as the golden circle goes that she's in charge of, I mean, it was like, I think one of the biggest problems is that one, Charlie Hesketh was like the sub boss, and honestly, like, he didn't compare to the one girl with the legs from the first one. Yeah, he had the robotic arm, cool, but like, he didn't have that same you know, dynamism as the main bodyguard to Samuel L. Jackson. I forgot her name. I'm sorry to say, I just forgot her name. He kind of displayed more of like a thorn in the side of Eggsy, even in like the first movie. Like in this movie, yeah, he's stronger, but at the end of the day, he just came across like more of like a thorn in the side. Um, but yeah, and also we got to see Elton John played a really big role here. He was more or less just comic relief. Uh, he played himself, and I thought he was pretty funny. Actually, I thought he was pretty good here. Um, just kind of funny, uh, kind of awkward, really, really quirky. You know. Yeah, that's all I can really say about him. Yeah, you got to see the president of the United States. It was not Donald Trump. I kind of, I don't know if this president was actually modeled on Donald Trump. I think he's just modeled after like that really corrupt, like like this really power hungry, somewhat corrupt president that you'd think, um, that might be in the White House or something like. But that I mean that's what this president of the United States was. He was just kind of like, oh hey, they're gonna kill a bunch of drug users. Great, let's do it. I'm the great, like this real like unthinking, uncaring uh, guy. That is the president of the United States. The chief of staff Fox was pretty much the yin to the president of the United States is yang, in a sense. Um, but yeah, one thing is that I really liked about this movie, the action was good. The I particularly like the beginning car chase scene and the end. One thing I was not big on in this movie, though, I have to say, the second half of this movie just was quite expository. I mean, it was pretty much like world building in a sense. It really was just like, okay, we got to establish Statesman, what they're doing, who are the players. And and a lot of like the second half is just that. establishing the war, like the world. You know, like I said, world building. And I thought that really dragged the movie down. Quite a bit, actually. My friend who was watching it was actually tempted to leave. He was. It was actually just kind of boring. And there was a scene. There was an action scene in the middle where they're in like the snow, like in the mountains and the snow. And there was this scene where they're Eggsy and Whiskey are like sliding through one of those it's a monorail, like a monorail that got disattached from its wire or whatnot. Is that what it'd be? Or like a ski lift? Or no, it's not a ski lift, but something like a monorail. There's a name for it. And I'm totally messing that up. I thought that was cool, but like if you actually see it, there actually isn't a lot of action that happens except for that. They're just sliding down the mountain. But there was a gunfight. There was a scene where they're in a cabin. And Whiskey fights off the Golden Circle henchmen and whatnot. But I didn't really feel it had like just a lot of actual fighting. I thought the scene where they're sliding down the mountain was cool and creative, and the way they got out of it was kind of cool and creative. But otherwise, I, that the whole second half, honestly, in my opinion, kind of brought the movie down quite a bit. The third act's kind of cool. The action, like I said, it's really good. It was just law, physics. It defies physics at times. What you'd kind of expect from the first one. One thing I'll say about this, though, like, I like the first one a lot more. I'll just say it right now. And it seemed like there was like a real like method to the madness and a real like um there was like it was like controlled chaos in a sense. Uh, and I honestly I didn't think that this one was just as downright crazy as the first one. It was just kind of missing. I was trying to. I can't explain it. I was talking to my friend who I watched it with. And I was like, I can't put my finger on it, but there's something off about this movie. And the part was that like exposition like filled second half, but it's like I didn't feel it was crazy enough. Honestly, like I know that's gonna sound strange, and actually a lot of reviews actually think that like the second one's better or it's just as crazy. I don't think it was there. You didn't have the church scene. You didn't have like the whole world beating each other up. You know, by the end, I think one of the other problems too is like it was a little too easy. Also, um, once they reached Poppy Land, it was a little too easy for Eggsy and Harry to win, in my opinion. Eggsy fought Charlie, he beat him, and then Harry was fighting against these two robotic dogs, and it was like okay, like after that, like like they kind of went through the. I didn't get a sense of threat from them, I suppose. And like I said, like, and the way Merlin died was just kind of like, oops, I stepped on a landmine. I'm gonna die. Let's get rid of some of the goon squad. Like, while I sing, and it was, that was a bit uneventful for me. So, in a sense, like, I don't think it had that same energy, the same just wildness and chaotic, you know, nature as the first one. Personally, I know a lot of people are gonna disagree with that, but it just wasn't there for me. Um, the reviews too were quite mixed. Some people thought, "Oh, this is great. It had all this like intense energy and this and that. And I gotta say, like I said, I like the beginning, and despite my criticism, I do like the third act. I felt the second act was definitely missing a lot. It was actually kind of boring. Too much world building, establishing this new statesman thing going on and whatnot. Um, to try and find Clara, and there just isn't much there per se. But yeah, other reviewers are just like, yeah, this movie just isn't good. It's some feel it's kind of trying too hard, trying to be just a little too over the top, and it just kind of failed in that sense. My personal thing is that first half was good, second half or first act was good, second act dragged, third act was good, um, but it was just kind of missing. I think it missed a. It still had the sense of urgency, but like I think it was missing the threat to the protagonist. I never actually. I mean, I just never got the impression that like they're threatened in any way, shape, or form. Because at least in the very first one, it's like Harry got shot. He presumably died by Samuel L. Jackson, not some landmine on the floor. I know I keep harping on that. It just seems so anticlimactic. It's like, oh hey, main guys do die by the directly by the villains. Like it's a real threat to the characters being able to carry out this mission. I will say, for the most part, the acting from everyone was really good. I thought the performances from Julianne Moore as Poppy Adams was really good. Pedro Pascal was really good as Whiskey. I thought they acted their parts quite well. So, that's definitely a positive there. Um, my overall grade would also be in line with something of a mixed review. It's not an F or a D, but it's not an A. It would be closer to like a C plus B minus. It's just 3 out of 5 stars for me. It was just somewhere closer to the middle. Um, Good but not great. I can't pinpoint what it was, but it was just kind of missing something. The humor was there. The action that they did have was good. You know, like I said, the second half I wasn't too big on, and it just wasn't. I just didn't feel the wildness, the chaos of the first one in this one. It does look like that this movie greatly sets up a third one. Ginger Ale is a statesman. Channing Tatum, Tequila is a Kingsman. They're trying to rebuild. Harry's still around. Eggsy's still around. I don't know what happened to Roxy or Lancelot. They need a new Merlin, new Arthur, and whatnot. Um, so they have stuff to work with there. If the movie does well, I can see a third one being made. And kind of wonder if Tequila. I'd imagine that Tequila would play a bigger role because, like I said, well, that also killed it too. It's like, dude, you advertise, Tequila. It's like Channing Tatum's character, and the guy is in ice like throughout the whole movie. So no Roxy. That kind of hurt it too. Or yeah, there's no Lancelot, so that kind of hurt the movie as well. Um, so certain things like that just kind of hurt the movie. Otherwise, final score 3 out of 5 stars. I'd give it something. I'll be nicer, but I'll say a overall B minus as far as like an overall letter grade for the movie. I thought it was good, but not great. So that's all for today. If you like this, don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment to this channel. Thank you for listening to this movie review. Next time I'll have a list of the top magic users in anime and manga, and have a manga review for Skip Beat Volumes 1 and 2. Thank you, and until next time.